Hello. In this recording from our Justia webinar, Fundamentals of Citation and Link Building for SEO, Justia's CEO Tim Stanley will guide you through the fundamentals, including the relationship between citations, link building, and rankings in Google's organic search results and Google Business Profiles. He also discusses linking basics and internal and external linking strategies, such as cross-linking between your media properties and gaining lawyer directory and business directory links. If you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
All right, so today we're going to do the beginning of a two-part session on citations and link building. There's just no way I could do this in an hour, so we'll have at least 2 hours on it, and I'll try to get this initial one done in an hour, hopefully, if things go. This is one of three of sort of the different sort of core webinars. The first one was on content. This one, citations and links. And the last one, or part three, I guess probably the fourth one now, will be on technical SEO. I just want to make really clear here that for Google, the most important thing is content. So links are important, but not as important as content. So you should go back and watch the previous webinar, take a look at that, make notes on that. But everything Google's trying to do right now is constantly trying to get better and better content to rank higher, regardless of the links. So that's just something to note. I'm not saying links aren't important. We're going to run through this, but do not take your eyes off the content. And if someone tells you content's not important, that's absolutely not true. So I wanted to make that very, very clear as we begin this. That said, links do matter. So let me sort of run through what we're going to cover today, and I'll sort of mention a little bit what we're going to cover in the second half of this session, in the next session, the second half of the citations and links seminars. So today we're going to run through what is a link, talk about links in Google rankings, go through the basics of what a link is, and then talk about how links are valued by Google in particular. The next webinar on this, we'll cover the links in Google Search Console, how you can sort of see what Google sees about your site. We're going to spend quite a bit of time researching links. I'll bring a little bit of that in this particular webinar, but I'm going to spend a lot more time in the second one on that. And then different content ideas for linking, and then a little bit about a Google Business Profile and how citations can tie into that. So with that, let's sort of start off. So this is the simplest part. What is a link? All right. This is basically the fundamentals of the web. So we got a page here. See right there, independent adoptions. That's a link. That's it. You click on that, you'll take you to a page. That's all links are. So links have been fundamental to the web since the beginning. Before then there were things like HyperCard that Apple made. But the whole web is sort of determined by different sites linking to each other. And there's nothing fancy here. That's all this. It's just the link. You click this, you go to another page. Right? That's the core thing. Links in Google ranking. All right. You have to imagine back, but there was a time before Google was out, right? There was a long time ago, and there was a site that came out called AltaVista. And before AltaVista, there was Lycos, there was Excite, there was InfoSeek, a bunch of other sites. But what AltaVista did is they returned the results faster. And initially, it was just a research project sort of to show how the DEC Alpha processors were great processors to use and why companies should use their mini computers. But AltaVista, as it went forward, eventually became a separate company because it was so popular. I mean, AltaVista back in the day was really, really fast. Unfortunately, as AltaVista became more popular, people found ways to manipulate it. It became, ways to play with the keyword density on the page, and pretty soon you could show up higher in the rankings of AltaVista, and the results started becoming relatively poor. So initially it was great. People, like they always do, they started playing with it, they started spamming it, and all of a sudden you would do a search and your results in AltaVista were not good. It is probably the understatement. At that point in time, Larry Page, who was one of the founders at Google, started looking at the AltaVista results and started saying, well, what can I sort of do here? If we look at sort of user activity and how they sort of value results, we could certainly, look at a results page, try to figure out what people click on, but we don't really have that data as a third party. But AltaVista actually would give you back the number of links that went to a particular page and website. So it was actually, there was a way to sort of do this. You could you could look at the results that came out of Alta Vista and then reorder them by the number of links that the pages had. And what you quickly could sort of see was that if you ordered them by the number of links a page had, it was a much better result. And that was sort of the beginning parts of Google. And so he developed this thing called PageRank. And basically it was, the links to a page, not all links were the same, a little bit like the strength of schedule in sports and, things. If you think of like March Madness or something in basketball, they look at strength of schedule. So like a link from Yahoo would be worth a lot. A link from, Joe's homepage, not quite as much. And then you would just sort of look at the results and tie in those sort of user-generated activity, which is the webmasters producing links and producing what the value is of the site, and bring that as an additional factor for the ranking. And initially, this was just technical papers. It was something to be done for research. And then they put up a small search engine, and this is they had like 25 million pages, which very like Justia has way more than 25 million pages. So it's not even that many pages, but they put that up, and people started playing around with it on Stanford, and it was really popular, and the results were great. They were a lot better than Alta Vista's results. So eventually they released the company, and that's sort of the beginnings of Google. I mean, that was sort of the beginning part. Initially, there weren't even ads. It was just something you could use to find better results than any other search engine out there. In the meantime, Alta Vista was bought by CMGI. They stopped their real focus on search. There was many other issues they had with search as well. They started saying we need to be like Yahoo. And this is sort of a Yahoo mini version of Alta Vista. Google, they put their initial real logo up, they cleaned it up, and then even cleaner today. I mean, they just sort of kept it clean, kept the focus on search. And, Alta Vista probably should have thought about keeping their focus on search if they remembered how quickly they became really popular. And they were never that popular as a portal. They were very popular as a search engine, but they took their eyes off the ball there, and Google kept their focus on search. Made the search better and better and better. And as more and more web pages came online and directories became unmanageable, search became the future of what of the way people actually use the web. And the whole key thing to Google was this PageRank. So PageRank is what drove the Google results, and no one else was doing it. And once they got ahead of the others in terms of quality results, they never looked back. Just kept going. So there are two sort of main parts that Google brought into their PageRank algorithm. One's on PageRank, one's sort of tangential to it. And one is that better sites, higher quality sites, have higher votes. So for example, here's a New York Times site. Here's a link to Justia on their site. And again, that's a high quality vote from the New York Times saying, look, we trust Justia, right? That's basically what they're saying. The other one is looking at the link text. So Alta Vista and the other folks never really looked at the link text at all. Google spent a lot of time looking at the link text in order to determine what the page that they were pointing to was about. So here I have the word independent adoptions, from our previous example of a link, and it links to the independent adoptions page. So there's value in that link text as well that Google was sort of looking at initially when they were sort of developing their algorithm for search results. But they've done a lot more since. Obviously, people have played around with links a lot, so they've got all different things they need to do in terms of checking link spam. But the core thing of Google PageRank driving their basic algorithm, that is still the case, with a lot more focus on the quality of content of the results that come out of their PageRank algorithm. So they don't, they've really, really moved into focusing on content as well. Okay, that's it. We saw the link. Saw a little bit how Google looks at links. They value them as votes for a website, for a web page. More links, better links, quality links, raises the value. We'll spend a little bit of time of looking at the link, and then we're going to go into the link value itself, how Google sort of determines which links are more valuable than others. Okay, first, here's a link, right? Some text, link text, URL. Learn about how our Atlanta car accident lawyers can help you today, right? The word car accident here is linked. Again, it's the same thing as we just saw here. This would be a link here would be car accident, would be linking over to the page. So let's start looking at the different attributes of the link itself. First, the link text. Easily the most valuable text there is the link text. So if you're looking at your site, especially that's something you control, or your blog, and you're cross-linking over, you should really look at the words that you're linking from over to other pages of your site. If other people link to you, ideally they would use words that matched up with the landing page of your site. Got to be careful. You don't want to spam it. I'll walk to cover that in just a second. But this is extremely valuable text in terms of what's there. Now, a couple things to note about this, and this is especially true on your website and your blog that you have for yourself. Do not use the same link text for different pages. All right. So here, let's say I have the word car accident lawyer, and I'm linking to my homepage with those words. Or I take the words somewhere else, I link it to my attorney profile. And I do it again, I link it to my car accident page. All right. So I took the word car accident lawyer, I linked it to 3 different pages. That confuses the hell out of Google. Don't do that. Do not take the same text and link it to different pages. This is something, especially on your own site. Now, someone else might do it on, a separate third-party site. That might not be something you can control. But you definitely control your own website and you control your own blogs. So go through, look at the backlinks that you have to yourself, and make sure that you're not using the same words to link to different pages. That's up to you to do. And you've got to get that cleaned up. Even on your own site, links are worth quite a bit. And you are telling Google what pages are related to what terms when you link to them. And if you can't do that consistently, Google's going to have a rough time figuring out what page is important for you on your website for any particular term. So you need to go through there and do that. But do not do this. All right. Instead, have different terms, right? Maybe personal injury lawyer goes to your homepage. Okay, that's good. Basic term, homepage tends to be one of the stronger pages. Take accident attorney, take that to your profile. Take car accident lawyer, right? Take that over to your car accident page. But, the keywords should match up with the page that it's going towards, and you should not use the same words to different pages. And that happens all the time. You can bring it up with folks, they still do it. So especially when they go into their homepage and the practice area page or attorney profile, like I'm showing here. Really got to watch that. Okay, so that's one thing to note about the text within keywords. Extremely valuable, but don't use it for different pages, especially the ones you control. Link it to one page. Here's the other one. This is more for external links that are coming into your site. And that is to have spammy link text. So here's an example. I've hidden the name of the person doing this, but that's okay. But these folks have taken the word Knoxville personal injury lawyer and they put it on a ton of sites. I mean, they just put it, this is on right now, 130 sites, 120 of them are follow links. And that's just the number of individual sites. There's many more links than 120. And they took that word Knoxville personal injury lawyer and they put it on all these different sites. Mainly through, in this particular case, article spam, when you're doing article spam on different sites. So I'm not going to, talk a little bit about the link building stuff and using tools like SEMrush, which I'm using here to show this example. But do not do this. First you should be doing article spam in general when you're doing things, but do not load it up with keywords like this on external sites. This will turn out very, very bad, or even on your own site. Don't load it up. What will happen is you might rank for different things, but you won't rank for this particular term. And we've seen this happen a lot with folks where people just, hey, I'm doing link building. Setting up stuff. I set up some pretend WordPress.com blogs and some Blogspot blogs. I'm adding these articles. I'm linking back to myself. I submitted this article to all these different folks, so they link back to me. And all of a sudden they go up a bit, and then all of a sudden they fall and they disappear, especially for the particular term that they did the spamming on. So again, it can work for a bit, but then it doesn't work. So we'll cover a lot more of these things when we start looking at tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs and a couple others in the next or second half of this webinar. It'll be, not today, but coming up. But this is something you really need to be careful of, is this, when you're doing link building, doing this overly spammy stuff. If you do want to do link building, just have a link to your website name, right? Get a link to your firm name, right? Jones and Smith. Don't get involved with this. This is so easy to track, so easy to get you in trouble. Someone could easily report this. It's obvious that this is a link building effort. This wasn't done by a third party. But you can walk through all these different things when you go through it. This could be a problem for folks, and it could be a problem for you if you do it. So I'd be very careful on this part. Don't do this. No spammy link text. All right. All right. Let's go to the next part of the link. The link URL, right? Right here up here in the address bar, right? justia.com/family here. All right. Here it is. The URL. So the URL does have some value in terms of SEO because the words in the URL, Google will look at as a hint as to what the page is linking to is about. So you should ideally try to get a couple words into your URL. Now, if you put 10 words in, it gets a little bit spammy, probably not that great. But, car accidents, that's a decent thing to do if you're linking to a car accident page. So there is value there. Is it as valuable as the link text? No. But it's not something that's ignored by Google. So adding a word or 2 or 3, that's fine. I would not add, 8 words or something like that, but, a couple words is good. The one other thing I want to bring up is that sometimes the URL is used as the link text. And the reason I bring this up is so, obviously, if it's an internal page, you might have some additional words there, but sometimes it's just the domain. So there are a lot of directories that'll grab the domain of the law firm and they'll actually put it in as link text. So here, you'll see something like this, website injury-lawyers.com. And if you looked at the underlying code, you would see that both the URL and the link text include the word injury lawyers. So the reason I bring this up is because Google has said, the domain really doesn't matter for SEO. And, technically, I think it matters a little bit, even just having it, because it's an indicator of what the site's about. But link text matters. And a lot of the time, the domain is taken and put into link text, especially on directories. So it's something to think about. Now, do you have to have keywords in your domain? No, you don't. Is it as important as the content that you actually write? No. Is there a correlation between people that write spammy content and use lots of keywords in their domain? Yeah, right. Scannin.com is not writing any sort of spammy content, right? So, Wilson Sonsini, they don't need to have keywords in their domain, right? They're going to write really good stuff. Sometimes people with, Miami-personal-injury-lawyers-accident-attorney, something like that. Okay. They're probably going to have a little bit of spam on their site as well. So there's a little of that correlation. But as far as reality goes, in terms of what Google's going to value, they will look at the link text, they will look at the URL, and there is some value there. So don't think you can do that and not write good content, but there is some value in having keywords in your domain. There is some value in having keywords in your URL, right? So the domain itself often, again, shows up as link text. So that's the little sort of hidden thing to note about domains, which I don't think people, when they focus just on the URL on the page, don't really quite think about. Okay. Link text, URL. Those are 2 key ones. The next one is the surrounding text. And this is the text around the link text. Google looks at this as well. So Google will look at the link text, where the link's going, and they'll start looking at the text that surrounds it. And the closer the text that surrounds it, the more valuable it is. So here we got, learn about how our Atlanta car accident lawyers can help you today. The word Atlanta and the word lawyers will be attached to the word car accident when Google's sort of ranking that link, because it's the surrounding text. It's the text within the contents of the link. So that stuff will get pulled in. There is an exception where that stuff might, not get pulled in. Right? Sorry, I should have made that red so you can easily see the surrounding text. So the exception is when it goes link. So if you have the link if I'm coming through Atlanta car accident lawyers, and I have car accident as one link, and I have the word lawyers as a different link, that word lawyers is not likely to get picked up with car accident, because Google now sees that as a word that really goes to a separate location, not something to be attached to the previous link location. So what you'd like to do, ideally, is have text around your links, where if you want additional keywords, and allows you to put a link in and not overly spam it up. I don't have to use Atlanta car accident lawyers, which starts looking pretty spammy pretty quickly over and over again. But car accident, that's only 2 words. That's never really going to be seen as spam. Linking 1 or 2 words, never really an issue. So putting link text around it, extremely helpful. Putting surrounding text with keywords around link text, extremely helpful to your ability to indicate to Google what that link's going to be about. So it's something to think about. Sometimes if you have a long string, maybe remove a couple of those words, put them outside the link text, but keep them surrounding links text. That actually works out really well. All right, one other item that I'll bring up, which is the title attribute. So here's the link. We could add in this title attribute, which basically, if you mouse over the URL, you get like a little pop-up that'll indicate what it's about. So if I had something like this, about how our car accident lawyers can help you today, if I moused over car accident, I get this little pop-up that would show up. In general, I would not use the title attribute. We use it like when we want to give people instructions how to use something or to really indicate more information about the link that cannot be covered by the text or the link text or the link text with the surrounding text. So unless there's really a reason to use the title attribute, I wouldn't use it because you'll end up overly spamming it and you won't be able to control yourself, and because you can't really tell how many keywords you're putting in there, and all of a sudden you've junked up your whole page, you've junked up your links and everything else. So I would stay away from it. But because there is some value in it, I'm bringing it up. So I bring it up. I would, again, be really hesitant to use it, maybe for help screens, maybe for, add things where you really need to explain something. I could see some uses for it, but for the most part, I would not use it. But there is some value there. Okay, that's the link part. We'll come back to that one more time at the end of this little section here. But let me cover just a couple other things within the link. So we have the rel nofollow, which if you guys are into SEO, you have an idea what this is about. So nofollow, basically from Google's standpoint, is an indicator that they shouldn't that link should not pass any page rank onto the page it's linking to. So if you have a URL and you put rel nofollow, the word car accident shouldn't actually add any SEO value or page rank value to the link that's going to domain.com/car accidents. And that was true for a long period of time. Now nofollows are seen as hints to Google. Strong hints, but hints. They might give you value for nofollow links. So just because that's a nofollow doesn't mean there's no value in it. On the other hand, the webmaster the website has at least indicated that they don't think there should be value. So that's something to note. Like Wikipedia will have nofollows on their links, right? Many of the other sort of social networks that you see will have nofollows on links. So that's one thing sort of to note there. There are some other new types of nofollows that Google has sort of introduced. All right. So I guess maybe the web is introduced, but the Google uses. One is UGC, which means user generated content. And what Google has recommended is that, for things that you don't quite trust your users, especially if they aren't logged in, you don't really know, you haven't confirmed who they are. You add this sort of tag for things like blog comments, different items like that. So you tell Google, hey, we're not sure about this person, that whether, we feel you should trust this link that was put there because we didn't do it. The user did it themselves. So take that into account. And the idea is it's treated as a nofollow and Google won't pass any page rank. But again, it's a hint, right? And it's a little bit weaker hint even than nofollow in my opinion. It's there, but it's not quite as strong. You can double that up. You can use UGC and nofollow. I think you can use all these together if you want. But if this is probably a stronger way of saying, hey, really, Google, don't follow this link. If you have a blog and you have comments or something like that on it. So this stuff, this is sort of needed because if you ever seen some of the older blogs that were out there, people would go write comments in and go, the medieval art history blog, and they would say, this is great informational post. I really enjoyed it. San Antonio aluminum siding, right? And then someone else say, thank you for posting this great information. The Atlanta personal injury lawyer, right? It'd be all this spam links and spam stuff in comments. So nofollows initially helped on that. UGC somewhat helps on it. UGC nofollows even a stronger indicator of it. So those, again, all hints for all these though. And then there's rel sponsored. And this one is really indicating to Google, hey, I sold this link. This link, this is a purchase position. And so advertisements or people that are selling links should be using the rel sponsored. So that's really, this one, pretty clear to Google that you should be passing on page rank because it was a sold, it was purchased. So that's just something additional to note on that. So it's really been broken up. Most sites still just use nofollow in general. Nofollow and sponsored are both fine. Sponsored is preferred, but not that many folks use it. Same thing with UGC. Most sites still just use nofollow, but you can certainly add UGC. It's a little bit, I say it's a slightly weaker thing than no follow, but you could also dub it up with the no follow if you want to. So these are the four that we sort of see. If you're running a blog, your own blog, and you're having comments, you probably have it set up to have no follows at least, but you might want to change it to UGC or UGC no follow. Getting back just to the link itself, going back to the core stuff, not set aside the no follows and the UGCs and sponsored. For the link text, the most important thing, right? That's the most valuable. Don't overly spam it. Don't use the same link text at different pages, but the most valuable part. Next part's the surrounding text. And then the URL, because it's not visible, so it's not quite as valuable. But remember that a lot of times the URL is also, especially if it's a domain name, is also used as the link text by different directories. So you have to take that into account a little bit when you think about your URL or your domain name. And the final thing is the title attribute. I'd say only use it if you have some functionality reason for it, but I'd be hesitant to use it. So that's the base stuff. But the main thing here is think about your link text, think about where you're linking, especially within your own site. Ideally, if you have ability to control what other people do, same thing. Don't have link the same link text to different pages if you can ask them not to. And then, surrounding text, very valuable. Easy way to keep you from overly spamming your link text. And then, the URL. So very, very straightforward. And it's just a link, nothing fancy. Okay. What is a link? Links to Google value. What is the link? All right. Now let's go into link value. This will probably be a little bit more interesting on the SEO part. First thing, this is basic stuff, sort of covered already. Trusted high quality sites, right? Google's going to rank trusted high quality sites more than, untrusted low quality sites. Kind of makes sense, right? Like the blue is going to be bigger than the red. It's bigger than the green. The yellow's even bigger than all of them. So links from higher value trusted sites are more valuable to you. And again, we showed the example here from the New York Times story to one of our pages. There are some high value trusted sites where the pages themselves, though, aren't always quite as trusted. And those are when you have different profiles or sort of a combination of user-generated content along with editorial content in there. So, Angel List is a pretty well-known site out here. I see a lot of non-Angels now having profiles on Angel List. It seems to be a lot of people producing pages there. But, it's a value. Even here, the links have no follows on them, but it might be a value there. But, Google might look at the profiles, but probably not value them quite as much as an editorial article or the main page itself. But it's, there's something there. It's a trusted site, but it's a user-generated one. And then there's sort of a combination user-generated plus editorial, something like Crunchbase. And that Google's more likely to give additional value to, just because there is this editorial layer that sits on top of it. Wikipedia would be a similar example outside the business sphere. So the best, from a trusted site are ones actually written by the writers, right? From the previous one about writing, who's the writer, is one of the measurements in terms of the value of a page of content, also the value of a link. But if it's a little bit self-generated or self-generated with editorial that sits on top of it, there can still be some value there. So there are some places that, you might look at, and we'll cover this a lot more when we start going through SEMrush and some of these other tools the second half of the second webinar about this part. But there are some places here that you might, be able to get some profiles up. Ideally, you're also participating in the communities, right? That's helpful. So you're actually, tied into the communities. You're doing some investments or whatever else AngelList is involved with. Okay, trusted high quality sites, those are really good. But from your standpoint, from a lawyer standpoint, legal sites, I'd rather have a slightly less trusted, always trusted because it's legal, slightly less valuable legal website than a highly trusted non-legal website. So here's an example of, it's actually both. It's the Harvard Law School blog. They linked over to us, and here's one of Bob Ambrosi's Law Next site that he also linked over to one of our pages. But for you guys, getting onto legal websites in particular are much more valuable in terms of page rank passing from Google than getting something which is a high value site that has nothing to do with law. So you should really be focused in on legal sites to the extent you can. So they'll just much, much more valuable. Google ties in these little sort of spears and looking at how sites are related. So something that's talking about auto parts might be a great site, but it's not going to not going to be nearly as valuable to you as a site that's really focused on law, and ideally even your own area of law. You're doing criminal law, be on a criminal law site. The other part, if you can't get into a general sort of a focused legal site, at least try to get into the legal section of a more general trusted site. So here's like a Library of Congress one on Justia, and here's sort of a general Harvard libraries thing, also like over Justia. So these are both, solid sites, but they cover lots of stuff, not just law. It covers medicine, it covers all types of things. But we're in the legal section. So it just in general, if you look at the trusted high quality sites, for the most part, if you just want a basic rule of thumb, academic sites tend to be higher trusted than others. Government sites tend to be higher, more trusted from that standpoint. And certain, legal sites, certainly Justia is well trusted. There's other sort of the legal portals that have a lot of trust built up by putting up content and keeping things up to date. It's just the higher quality the editorial work that's done on it. So those are good places to be. But even if you have to be on a slightly lower quality site, that's okay if it's legally focused, or at least the legal page of it. So these are places you should certainly look at, and again, we can go through it. And if you have resources that be valuable to people, you should certainly submit your site to them. From the law firm standpoint, let me just give a couple or a bunch of legal sites you should take a look at. So we've got a list of free lawyer and law firm directories that you should go out, and you should certainly claim your free profiles, either for your all your lawyers or for your firm. If you're claiming on Justia, right? Justia also distributes out our data to Legal Information Institute and OIA and a couple other places. But this is a good list of different sites that you should try to get profiles on. And you should do the free ones. You should not have to pay for a link. So you should try to get the free profiles with a link coming back to you. I would be a little bit less concerned whether there's follows or no follows on them. So even something, even no follow, if it's free, I think there will be some value on that part. But you should go through here and look at our list and sort of get linked up on these different directories. You might have to claim your profile. It's a little bit of work, but this is like bread and butter stuff that you need to do that'll get you, 70, 80% of the way there in terms of your link building. These are all legitimate sites. Other folks that have it, Rankings.io has some stuff. Mockingbird has some stuff. Conrad Sam has some. Attorney Sync has some list of different directories. You can look at different ones. They might have a slightly different list than we do. We focused on the ones that we thought really had the value, but there's a lot of people who put together these lists. So feel free to take a look at it. The main thing here, though, is that you should not be paying for these links. These should be free. If you have to pay, there's not going to be value there. But it should be rel sponsored, even if they don't put it there. That's not good. So go there, claim the free ones, and have the free. And again, put it back to probably most cases to your homepage, or if you have many attorneys, you can take it to the attorney profile pages. This is just something to note about lawyer directories. This is our directory. So here we have some sponsored ones. Here's the organic results on our lawyer directory. And here's a profile on our lawyer directory. I will say this is true with us. This is true with almost all the lawyer directories, as well as most of the business directories. If you fill your profile out more, you will show up higher, right, in the organic results. And if you show up higher in the organic results, often you'll be on the first page. You might get a little more value from a listing page. You might get a little more value from your link. So, claiming a profile, getting a link off a site, that's one thing. But if you want to do a little bit better from a pure linking standpoint, you should really fill out your profiles, not just on Justia, but on everyone. I mean, Avo used to give you a higher ranking when you filled it out more, right? So this is something you should think about and go through and really go through the different profiles of different lawyer directories and try to fill them out. Ideally, if you're trying to do a little bit of reputation control and you want all these different pages to rank, all the different directories to rank, you should have different text on each of them. If it's the exact same text, Google will tend to rank one, but not the others in the organic rankings. But that's more for reputational control. But just for showing up higher in these different directories, you should definitely fill out your profile. Certainly that's true on Justia. We focus on the locality, but there's a weight based on how much you filled out your profile. So that little thing, it'll tell you you're 80%, 90%. You'll see a little note when you log in. And it's free. I mean, no brainer. So lawyer directories is one set. The other set is business directories. You should all do the business directory. A lot of these will have no files, but again, you should do them anyways. Most folks, you can go to every business directory out there and claim your individual profile and fill it out. And that's doable. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. Or you could use a service like Yext, and Yext will take your data and it'll fill it up across all the different directories that it has access to. If you go into Yext, you'll actually see that for some directories, you can select different practice areas that are particular to a particular directory. So everyone might have law, some might have criminal law, some might have DUI, all right? Some might have federal crime. So you need to sort of go into Yext a bit and try to fine tune it on the directory side, but it's pretty good. It'll push it out to all these different ones. The only downside of Yext is they tend to take the same descriptive text and they put all it's repetitive descriptive text. So you don't have quite as much modification there. It repeats the data a lot, but it's simple to use. And I know that they say that, if you don't renew with us, some of the folks will remove your listing and they'll put up the old listing with bad data. That's all right. That's possible, but I don't think Google values directories that put up bad data. So the main ones, you do it once and you're pretty much there for the most part. Every once in a while they'll add new ones. The one thing I would say with Yext and all these different ones I'm about to show you is that you use the same name for your law firm that you're using on your Google business profile. And use the same address, same format for the address, and the same phone number. Name, address, phone number, NAP, right? Need to match. That's just basic citation stuff that you need to do here. I'm talking a little bit more for the URL because you can get a link back to your website as well. But you should also, if you want to do better on Google Business Profile, which we're going to cover a lot more in the next webinar, you've got to make sure this stuff matches up right. So don't, if you spanned up your Google Business Profile, you better figure out how that's going to work out with these other ones because you really want that consistency there. So that's something to think about. But Yext it's good. It's not too expensive. And a lot of the other, a lot of service providers provide this type of service. Next one is Whitespark. Whitespark, they actually are going to go in, log in, and give you individual logins to each of them, which is nice because then you can actually go and modify the text for each of the profiles and actually get them a little bit more unique and get them to rank higher. Or, if it's a Spanish directory, put the text in Spanish, right? Things like that. So Yext is a little bit higher level. They charge you a one-time fee for claiming these profiles and updating them, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more control over it. And I'll just list a couple others. There's Bright Local, again, similar to Yext in many ways. And Moz, they also do stuff with some of the larger big database providers, Newstar, Info Group, some of those. So they're all pretty good. To me, normally Yext at the base level, if you just need something, they've done a pretty good job of getting things moving along. And then Whitespark, if you need to fine tune stuff a little bit more, but the others are fine as well. So we've had folks that have used all of them. They've, been quite successful on all of them. The main thing for you as a law firm is you should be doing one of these, right? You should do it. And you can just sign up for it. It's not too difficult to do. You just show you one example here from yellowpages.com. This sort of ties in. Here we got some paid listings. Go down a little bit. Here we got this organic listing here, sort of on page 2, but it's the first organic one. And he shows up higher because he filled out his profile. That's why he's showing up higher organically, which again, something to think about on business directory, right? And right here it's his link. And they're actually using his domain name for his link, where here the link text would actually be whatever the domain name. So it sort of shows two different things here I want to show. But again, you can use these other services to update these. Some of them you might want to go update individually if you feel strong about them, right? Yeah, or if they rank high for your name, you might want to add a little bit of extra work on those. So business directory is sort of very key. All right. That's it. High quality, trusted websites. We got legal pages, legal sites are more valuable to you. You've got a list of lawyer directories to go look at. You've got some business directories you might get to the legal section. Okay. Some tools that you can do, hundreds at a time. If you want to do on the business side using Yext or Bright Local or something like that. All right. Let's just talk a little bit about links themselves. All right. So you have a site, you have links coming into the site. You hear a lot of folks, though, talk about a brand new site faces a sandbox. Like you can't rank in Google, right? Because there's a sandbox effect. What do they say? Well, it's brand new. You can't rank. You're going to have to wait a year. Well, really, there's not a sandbox so much for your website. That's not really true. It's not, you could rank the next day you had enough links coming in to you. But there is a sandbox for the links. So Google is not going to give you the full value of a link right away. They are going to make you wait. You get a link, an external link that comes into your website. It might give you 20% of the value of that link. But you're going to have to, but not 100%. You're going to have to wait, 8 months, a year before Google makes sure that link's a real editorial link. It's stable. It's going to stay there. And then they'll give you the full value. So a lot of times we hear about the sandbox. What we really mean is that even if you get linked up, it's going to take some time. So if you do a brand new website, right? This is what Google sees. They see nothing. Put a little picture there. So a little tiny picture of you, right? But really, when you put a new website, Google doesn't see anything because you put the website up, you don't have any links to it, right? Google doesn't even know it. Now you could put the website up and then you can submit your sitemap, your XML sitemap to Google. They'll start indexing it, but there's no links. They're not really going to rank it at all. It's just there. When you initially put it up though without anything, you're up, but you don't exist to Google. And then you say, well, I'm going to go out and I'll get some links, right? I'm going to get some links to my site. And I get links, and these guys are already linking to each other. I'm going to get these links to the site. And Google will initially give you a little bit of value for those links, right? Just a little bit. And then a little bit more. And then a little bit more. And eventually you get the full value of the links. So again, every single time you get a link from someplace, you'll initially get a little bit of value, but you've got to wait a while to get the full value of that link. So when you're doing link building, don't expect miracles to happen like the next week, next month. You're really looking 8 months to a year to get the full value there. Get a little bit. If you do lots of link building, I don't know if you could do lots of link building without spamming things, but maybe it's possible. Then it's, you might start ranking a bit higher right away. But normally it takes a little bit of time. People do the link building and then you just have to wait a little bit. The same is going to be true if you go out, grab all these lawyer directories, right? And update all those lawyer directories. You're going to have to wait a little bit to get the full value of them. Or the business directories, right? You should do it now and just realize it might take a little bit of time. So it just takes time. It's just, otherwise people would go out, they'd get links, right before the holiday season and Christmas and everybody's shopping. Sites would show up high and then they'd get rid of the links right after. And they don't want stuff like that happening. So they want to make sure that these are real links and they're stable over time. So that's a general thing. Is it always 8 months? No, there are probably some sites that give it right away. Some other sites, they make you wait a bit. There's no real hard and fast rule here, but normally 8 months to a year for most links that you get. Now we're just going to cover some other sort of basic things, which would be somewhat obvious here. Links per site. All things being equal, right? I would rather, say site 2 links to these two, and site 1 links to this one, and site 2 links to site B twice. I would rather have 2 links from 2 different sites than 2 links from the same site. Right? Seems straightforward. The second link is not worth as much as the first link. That first link is worth quite a bit when you get a link from a website. The second link, not worth nearly as much. The third link, not worth nearly as much. The 10th link, the 100th link, get the idea. That discounts out really quickly. They're going from 0 to 1, sort of the Peter Thiel type of thing. 0 to 1, worth a lot. Going from 10,000 to 10,001, meaningless. Just doesn't matter. So this is just something to note. You'd like to have links from different websites rather than getting a bunch of links from one. Now, there are situations if things aren't all equal. Let's say, site 2 is a lot stronger than site 1. Yeah, then the second link from site 2 might be worth more than site 1. Okay, I get that, right? That's a super strong site. New York Times versus, Joe's homepage. But eventually the links start getting weaker and weaker in terms of what's coming over to you. So it's just something to note on it. If you'd like to get links from different sites, it should be pretty obvious. And the links not decay. The links are worth, the second, third link, they're worth less over time. Right? So that's basic stuff. Second item. You might have a link, to page 1, page 2, the other link, each link to page 1. The second one, this one site has a link to page 2, this other one has 2 links to page 1. In general, you're better off having a 1 link going to page 1 and 1 link going to page 2 rather than having 2 links go to the same page. Than a second link going to page 1. So like in our case, we have, links from New York Times. Often they're going to different pages on our site. Now, if they always went to Justia's homepage, the value would be really decay quite a bit faster. But by having links going to different pages on the site, it keeps more of the value. It's not treated as a brand new link from the domains, or we're seeing a link from that site, but it's going to a different page. So it really helps that other page out quite a bit. This is something for you to note when you are blogging, right? If you're blogging, especially on a different domain, you should link to different pages of your site. Don't keep linking to the same page over and over again. We get it. That's a car accident page. You've linked to it 50 times. Maybe link distracted driving to distracted driving, highway design to your highway design page. Break it up a bit. Don't keep linking to the same page over and over and over again. It's not helping you. So that's, if you want to increase the value of your links, this is the way, have it to go. Link to different pages on your site. This is true within your own site as well, right? You'll have enough navigation of different things, but you should link to different pages. It actually helps you more than linking to the same page over and over and over again. Again, don't forget, different text to different pages. Don't use the same page, the same text to different pages. As presented earlier. Okay, this is basic stuff. Authority. This is, straightforward stuff. Nothing fancy. If I have a site, right? I have a higher value site, site A, links to site alpha. Site A is stronger, site alpha will be stronger. Site B is stronger, site B will be, those types of links. That's basic stuff. The same also applies to pages. Some of your pages are more authoritative pages than other pages, and you can actually get more value when you link from those pages. So here, if I have page A and page B from the same website, link from page A, be worth more than a link from page B. For most law firms, their authoritative pages, which tend to be produced to a large extent by how the outside links are coming in, but not always, tend to be your homepage and your blog. So those tend to be the ones that hit the most authoritative. They have the most sort of links coming into the most authoritative ones they're seeing. They have both internal links as well as external links coming in. The one other, page that, we always put in, so we always keep ourselves within 2 links off the homepage or 2 links off an authoritative page. This is sitemap. So I always like to have the sitemap list all the pages. I know you can do an XML sitemap for getting indexed by Google, but I also like to have the HTML sitemap on the websites that's 2 links off any authoritative page. So I go homepage, sitemap, to any page on my site. Right. So that it's just helpful. And most law firm websites don't have huge number. Some people have thousands of pages, but most don't have that many. This is actually helpful to you in terms of keeping, sitemaps on every page. It keeps you within a couple links of every page. It helps all your internal pages. The other thing you do is you can build up your own sort of authoritative pages within your site by producing content, right? So I have a criminal law page. I could have drug and property crimes. I could add some types of drug crimes, some types of property crimes, shoplifting, auto theft. And when I do that, these 2 subsections, when I first make it, or 2 subpages, drug crimes, property crimes, produce some value to the criminal law one because there's sort of subpages of it and they're cross-linking up to it. Somewhere I can add more subpages and they add value and then make these more valuable. And what I've done is I'm sort of creating an authority page within my own website using my own content. So a lot of people think you always have to get outside links to get authoritative pages. That's not true. You can create them within your own site. Make sure Google has an idea what your structure is. You can use schema markup on your breadcrumbs. You can use, different folder structure. Just something that Google understands the structure of your site. And you can actually create your own authoritative pages, and then you can use those authoritative pages to lift up other pages on your site that you want to help lift up by putting some text within it. So very straightforward. Higher authority pages, a link within those, more valuable. Links on the page itself. So here's a page. A lot of people go, okay, well, we got all these links. All links are equal. Well, except they aren't, right? They aren't. So what Google will tend to do, they'll go through it, a page, and they really try to find out where is the unique content of the page, and they value those links separately or more valuable. So here I got the header. Okay, great. Header's the same on every page. Those links are going to get discounted out. I'm not saying those links aren't valuable, because those links on Justia are probably on 100 million pages, right? I mean, it's a lot of pages. But on this particular page, if I remove those links, nothing would happen. Virtually worthless in terms of that, and really not that valuable. It's just not, doesn't matter that much in terms of Google's not going to value it. They know it's part of the overall structure of the site. This sidebar is just in the adoption section of our site, right? It's a specialized sidebar. More valuable than the header, these links, but not super valuable because they're on lots of pages. So are they, is it nice to have them on lots of pages? Sure. But are any particular links here going to have as much value as a link within the text? No, not going to be as valuable. The links that are most valuable for you are links within the text. And a lot of law firms don't do this on their website. You should add some links within your text content, right? And my general rule is every 150 to 250 words, put a link from your page, from one of your content pages over to another content page. Again, with all the other rules, you'll make sure it's not using the same text for different pages. Ideally, to different pages, it's better to have slightly links to different pages throughout your site, not keep linking to the same page over and over again. But these are the most valuable links. Is the actual links within the text itself. And here's our footer. Again, these are like the header. These will be discounted out. So Google's really going to go through it and say, where should I put the most valuable links? These are the links within the actual unique text of here. Those are the most valuable. This other stuff, it's more the structure of the site. Still value in them, but there's lots of them. They're not going to get as much focus on this particular page. In general, links within text get more focus, right? Also, this is link, right? You're not going to get as many associated words around it. Link within text, you get the surrounding text credit. All right, so just another thing to note. Here's a criminal law page. I have a link here, 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 okay? I have links. So I have quite a few links on this page, which is fine. It's not crazy. In general, links higher on the content of the page are worth more than links that are lower, in general. I wouldn't worry about that, though, if I was putting links within my content, because you guys probably aren't going to put enough links that really matters. It just doesn't matter that much. So I wouldn't overly worry about it. But if I had to put a little bit of measuring, I'd try to put I really wanted to get some link be higher. You put a little higher on the page. Got to make sure it matches up, and you have to rewrite your content slightly to have it there, but you could do it. It's worth a little bit more than the other links. But again, I don't worry about it too much. It's not like drastically more. There is one place, though, there might be an exception, and that is on the sitemap. So the sitemap is linked on every single page, and some of these sitemaps for some of these firms, might be your law firm, might have a few thousand pages here, and at some point, Google looks at the lower links, and they're really starting to get discounted out, even though they're on the sitemap, they're not linked everywhere. They really just get a lot of links on this one page. If that's the case, you might want to move up to the top the pages you care more about on your sitemap. In a way, you're thinking of it like when you do a Google XML sitemap to Google's Search Console. You try to put weights on the pages that are more important to you to make sure they get indexed more. In a way, the pages on your sitemap, Google will see them a little bit, put the more important ones up at the top. Most law firms, this doesn't matter. Law firms that have lots of pages, it might matter a little bit. And I have seen situations where I moved something up a little bit on the sitemap, and it did lift up that area. So having seen that, this might be a situation where you want to do it if you have lots of pages. If you have 50 pages, I wouldn't worry about it for a second. If you have 2,000 pages, maybe you want to bring up your core practice areas up to the top versus all the sub pages underneath the core when you're sort of presenting it, or just double it up a bit. That's fine too. If you're trying to focus on 20 or 30 pages, you really want to make sure Google sort of sees a little bit higher, gets a more page rank too. Okay, so that's trusted, high quality sites. There's some legal sites and pages. That's important. All right, a little bit about links and sandbox stuff, links per site, authority pages, pretty obvious stuff. Nothing crazy here. Subfolders, subdomains, and separate domains. This will be the last sort of core section we'll cover, but I'll sort of walk through this. So this is really, a lot of this is on blogs, but I'm also going to show an example for websites. So for blogs, some folks have their blogs on separate domains, right? It's Hotel Lawyers, Jim Butler. And they also have Hospitality Group at Jeffrey Mangels. And if I went through and did a search on Hotel Lawyer, I'm going to match up the blog, but the blog ranks well for lots of things. Blog is first, JMBM second. So both rank. They're separate domains. You tend to get 2 bites at the apple especially when the content's really good, like with Jim stuff. Okay, that's good. Here's another example. James Novak, from a lawyer in Arizona. He's got a subdomain for his blog. And you go through here and he's ranking pretty well, right? He's got a subdomain, but the main site's ranking well. The subdomain's not ranking because it's sort of tied in for this particular search. Here's my criminal lawyer. And here's one that's a subfolder. blog, and also ranking well. It's divorce, doing quite well on it. So you can do a separate domain, subdomain, or a subfolder, and all of them, your site can rank well. If you really wanted to try to get 2 bites at the apple, you're pretty much going to need to run your blog on a separate domain. But there are some other reasons that you might want to have a separate domain for your blog or a subdomain. And we did a blog post on that. I'm not going to run through all the details of it, but there's some content issues. There's some, I'm going to talk a little bit about the linking issues right now. But there's a number of issues. You should go read our blog post about it. And we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each. The main point that I would like to bring out, though, is that if it's a subfolder or a subdomain, and you're cross-linking those, you're cross-linking your subdomains in particular, they'll be treated the same as a subfolder. With the exception that if your content is for some reason not good on one or the other, the bad content won't impact the other site. So by that, I mean, let's say you have a blog, it's not that great of a blog, the quality of the posts aren't that great. You're almost better off having that on a subdomain, so those bad quality posts don't actually accidentally hurt your main website. We've had lots of people that brought low quality blogs into their website and their website tanked because they brought in low quality posts. A lot of that was the posts themselves. If you write high quality posts, not really an issue. But normally subfolders and subdomains are pretty much treated the same. If you cross-link them. If you don't cross-link them, they're treated as separate sites. It'd be like Blogspot or WordPress.com. There's lots of sites. Just because you're on WordPress.com doesn't mean you're going to rank. But on your own site, your own law firm website, if you run a subdomain and you cross-link it, you'll be fine. So normally on the cross-link part here, I just want to quickly run through that. If you run a subdomain or a subfolder, and you put links into this website and you have links coming into the blog from third parties, and maybe you have some places that link to both, right? When you do cross-links, you will, from the blog, especially over to the site, you'll get some value for those links, even if it's on the same domain, right? This is true with all your web pages. So we just covered this, right? Do some cross-links within the content, and you'll get some value of those. Of course, you cross-link the 2 home pages, especially if it's a subdomain, to make sure they're attached, right? Which is fine. You'll get some value from that. But if you're on different domains and you have the same situation, and you can cross-link the home pages there, you'll get much better cross-linking value to your internal pages by using a separate domain with your blog. And that is always, even though Google will realize they're related, they'll realize that this blog is somehow related to this website. The fact it's a separate domain with separate links tends to help it a bit. Most of our clients that do the best tend to have domains for their blog, have their blogs on separate domains. That said, it is now harder to get linked up, get blogs linked up than it used to be. A lot of the blog directories have gone away. And there's a little bit of a correlation in terms of quality. People that write separate blogs on separate domains tend to have higher quality blogs. I mean, the people that just do it for SEO and think they're get links into a subfolder blog, they tend to be lower quality. But that's more of a content quality issue on that. So you should think about this a little bit, but if you have a blog and it's already got some decent strength to it, I would, use the blog to cross-link into the internal pages of the website, as long as, the blog's high quality, before I necessarily moved it in. That said, technically, for us, it doesn't matter. It's fine technically either way. And then I would do a subfolder blog, probably if I was brand new, my website was brand new, my site was brand new. I think that would probably be better. You got to get something moving, or a subdomain blog, either one. Or if I'm not going to blog very often. If I'm not going to blog very often, I definitely do a subfolder blog because that's just an article section. You don't have the same pressure on you to blog a lot. But the idea that subfolders somehow lead to better results than like subdomains, simply not true. Subdomains do exactly the same so long as you cross-link them. And I really feel like if you're able to properly do it and make a good blog and a good site, you'll actually get your maximum value by having a blog on a separate domain, whether it's through us or like LexBlog or any of a lot of the other law firms do that. So, but again, there's different positives and negatives. You can sort of read through it on that blog post that we wrote. And then I just want to show a quick example. Here's a website. Here's on subdomains. Here's family lawyer. Here's criminal defense. Here's estate planning. And here's the injury one. And again, subdomains can also do well, provided you cross-link them on the site here. So you could have multiple sites for your practice if you have different practice areas. So let's say, your probate folks might not want to see that you do criminal law, right? They don't want to see it. So you could actually break out and get, focused sites, and you can still rank well. But again, cross-link them if they're subdomains here in the footer. And sort of each of these are links. This is on the family law one, which is why you'll see the word family here. And then, here's just the idea ranking. I have to mouse down to get through all the ads. But, he ranks well for family lawyer. And here we go for criminal. I got mouse down a little bit to get to the organic. Ranks well for criminal. And the state probate ranks well. The key, though, is you cross-link the subdomains. So subdomains, again, on websites can be valuable to you. If you cross-link them, you do the linking part there. So your core domain gets shared among the others. And that gives you can sort of focus your subdomain on a particular practice area. You could do the same in a subfolder as well. It's not the end of the world if you did it within the subfolder of your site or a subsection of your site. But sometimes there's marketing reasons, criminal and probate. If I'm going for a probate lawyer, I don't need to know that he's doing a DUI defense. I mean, it's just not really what I'm focused on. So anyways, those are the one thing I want to bring up about subdomains. They can work out quite well, but you've got to do on the linking part, you got to do your cross-linking. So you tie in the domain value to all the different subdomains. If you don't do that, yeah, it will be like Blogspot or WordPress, and fine, but it's a brand new, it's like seen as a separate site by Google. All right. That's the initial cut of links to citations. So hopefully some of that will give you the basic overview, which you have to have. And then we did a little bit of stuff that you need to do on your own website, your own blogs. And if you've got the ability to help, or different directories and stuff, you can get them to put different, links or different wording to make sure you're not causing interference with your site. Between now and the next meeting, you guys have 2 sets of homework. One set is you need to go in and claim for all your lawyers in your law firm, all your profiles. You got to claim it on Justia. You got to claim it anywhere you can get it for free. We've got the list here. Again, you like this list? It's good. Read through our list. Go to Rankings.io. Go to Mockingbird. Go to Attorney Sync. There's other folks that have put together a list. But these are the overall list that you should go through and claim the profiles for every lawyer. And then for the ones that do law firms, claim it for your law firm. All right. This is bread and butter. If you do this, you're going to get, 70% of link value for your site. But most firms don't do it. And then the other part, sign up for one of these, right? If you're really concerned about reputation control, you want to control your namespace, Whitesparks can be better for you. If you want to just get links and something up quick and going, Yext is very fast and quick to do. It's relatively simple. There are a little bit of nuances you can do within Yext. You got all the nuances in the world with Whitespark. If you want to use Bright Local or Moz, that's fine as well. A little bit more competitive with Yext in terms of the overlap. But if you do this, then you'll have some links, even if they have no files, they'll get some value to them. You'll have links that are coming into your site, and that'll actually help your overall ranking. And these are legal pages on, decent, somewhat editorially controlled for the most part, direct business directories. So I'd go ahead and sort of do that part. Again, the next meeting we will go through researching your competitors. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on that, and talk about different, Google Search Console and different, more detailed stuff and getting into the weeds a bit more in terms of getting additional links. But no matter what you do, get these lawyer directories and get these business directories ones. There's no excuse not to have these. And you should do it right now. And then you'll be, your links will be 2 months older or a month and a half older by the next time we meet. So with that, I will throw it back to Nina, and I'll let you take it from there.
Thank you, Tim. We will now go ahead and move into the Q&A portion. So if you have a question for Tim, you can feel free to submit it through that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. It looks like we already have a few questions, so we can go ahead and get started. Our first one is going to be, I get offers from directories to sign up for a profile. How can I know which is worth doing?
So my general rule for profiles for lawyers and law firms is it free? If it's free, then I sign up. I mean, I think that's no brainer. For the most, I don't think there's any real downside to signing up for different directories. But if you have to pay money or they're basically selling links or something, I'd be really hesitant about it. Now, sometimes there's different associations and things. That's joining an association with a profile. But if they're focused on the profile and the link, again, I'd question that. I don't think that there's going to be much value there at all. But if it's free and you can get a nice full profile for you and the other members of your firm or your law firm, get a law firm profile, it's a no-brainer. I would sign up for it almost every time.
Our next question is, do social media links have value?
They don't necessarily have value directly. They're a little bit more temporal in a way. Sometimes they aren't even indexed by Google. And not everything is on Facebook, certainly indexed by Google. But a lot of times the social media stuff gets picked up by other websites. They aggregate social media. So you can actually get some link value there. Separately, Google did used to give quite a bit of value to websites that were mentioned in like current topics and things. It would like lift you up temporarily. I don't feel like that's happening quite as much because there's so much manipulation of social media going on. I don't think that's quite what it was maybe a decade ago. But you can certainly get some value from it, but it's mainly if someone else is aggregating the social media links and bring it onto the website is, sort of trying to give a picture on a website as to what's happening right now in social media.
Our next question is, how many links should my website have?
Well, I don't know how many you should have, but you should certainly be in the directories. And if you could just get into these lawyer directories and these business directories at the base level, you'll be pretty good from a linking standpoint. I mean, that's just the base level part. Beyond that, you might try to find some localized directories and stuff that's specific, or one specific to your practice area, or ones that are specific to your town, the different things. And ideally, if you put up some good content, people will start linking to you. And there's ways to write content and get, different links from government places or schools and things like that. But there's no hard and fast number, but I would imagine it would be at least 100 different domains, just at a base level of decent sites. But you could do that with the lawyer directories and the business directories. So that gives you sort of a base level of it. Again, Google has really tried to move away from just links because there's been so many issues there, to focusing on content. That said, I'd be very hard pressed to say that people don't sit down and manipulate links all the time, using different cross links and these different sort of social profiles that are out there and things. But those guys also tend to go up and down a lot. You'll see them. They'll show up high in Google, and then they'll be on page 3, and then they'll be on page 1, then page 4. They sort of bounce a bit because it's a lot of manipulation. We'll talk a lot more about that in the next talk about how, and I'll give some real examples so you can sort of see what people do in terms of cross-linking profiles to profiles. But I guess that's stuff that I would recommend to do. I would recommend writing really good content and then reaching out to academic places or to government schools and things like that. But that's why I consider the legitimate way to do it, and that's what I'll be focused on a bit on the next one. But I'll show the other way too. I'm not afraid to show you what other folks are doing. And I'm not so blind that I don't see that it works sometimes. It certainly works for periods of time. Maybe that's enough, and it goes away, and it comes back, and it goes away. So I'll leave that there. But we'll go into more detail in the next one.
It looks like the last question we have time for today is going to be, if I hire someone to do links for my site, what should I look for?
I would look at their previous clients. I would take a look at who they've worked for in the past. I would try to talk to those clients, and I would go on to SEMrush or Ahrefs or Majestic or Moz, and there's a bunch of tools that I sort of mentioned some on the content meeting, but I'll certainly mention them again in our next meeting. You saw SEMrush, which is probably the best of the bunch right now. And I'd look at the backlinks they did for these other folks, and I would try to figure out, does this seem legitimate, right? Because you can check the backlinks of who they did work for in the past. And then I would see how the other people are ranking. And do I feel like they're ranking because their content's great, or do I feel like they're ranking because their content's average and they just have done a great job with articles and Blogspot, and they've cross-linked over to their, TED.com page, and then they cross, all this stuff that goes on with some of these high quality sites with lower quality social profiles that a lot of people have been doing lately. And just make a decision what you want to do. Some of it you might just do yourself if you want to do it. There's no super tricks here. But anyways, I would talk to other folks, make sure I felt comfortable with what they're doing. And talk to their previous clients, and then take a look at what they've actually done in the past, so I understood what they're doing. We've had people that have hired, I have hired my brother-in-law, and he hired some folks, and next thing you know, they disappeared. And all they were trying to do was move up from, page 1, number 4 to number 3, and they blow it, and they just destroy their sites. And then they have to go through Google Search Console, and they have to start saying, I didn't mean to do this, and they, basically disavow all this stuff. So I'd be somewhat careful. But there are, I think most of the website developers that do link building and stuff that in the legal space have been around a while, they'll be pretty legitimate. Jim Boykin does links he's done it for lawyers, law firms in the past. He's very good. There's some people that are real that do it, and But I'd be very hesitant on someone that you never heard of, hasn't done other law firms. Be careful there. But there are some developers and stuff that really focus on link building, and sometimes it's a separate service, sometimes tied in with the website, and most of them are pretty good on that.
Thank you for all your questions. It looks like we're almost out of time for today. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next video.